Hello everyone, I'm Morgan, and today I wanted to start a new series on my channel where I will read every single book on the Booktube SFF Awards shortlist and tell you what my winner is in each category. But today I'm going to read the first category, and that is adult fantasy. So I will tell you what the nominees are and a little bit about them if I know. So the first book that was nominated is Gods of Jade and Shadow by someone. I will put it here. This one I don't really know much about. I think it's inspired by folklore, but what folklore I do not know. I've heard quite a few really good reviews about this one, but I've never been interested in it, so we will see. Next is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and this is the only one of this list that I had actually planned on reading either way, so that will be nice. I have read every single book by Samantha Shannon besides this one, and she is the writer of the Bone Season series, of course, and I adore it. It's just amazing. Samantha Shannon's writing is great, and I cannot wait to read this book. The last one is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and I have been going back and forth in wanting to read this because originally I did read The Night Circus and quite enjoyed it, especially for the atmosphere, so I was excited for a new book by this author, but ever since it came out, I have heard quite a few bad reviews from people I trust, saying mostly that this book just tried to put a lot into it and became kind of a mess. So I don't really know what it's going to be like, but I'm hoping I'm still going to enjoy it. But whatever my thoughts, I will tell you once I read it. So yeah, those are all the nominees in the adult fantasy category, so I will update you once I start one of them. I started The Priory of the Orange Tree as I have time now, and I am really liking it so far. I'm not surprised. However, I will say that just like when I first read The Bone Season by her, Samantha Shannon, I felt a bit confused at the beginning because she's one of those authors that just throws you into a world and gives you like snippets of information slowly. So at first you're a bit confused by all the characters that are going on, especially in this book because we follow different characters, which I do like, but just I was a bit confused at first. But it's already starting to get better, so that's okay. And I really like that as we follow multiple characters, some are in the west of this world and some are on the east. And they don't agree at all about religion or just anything. In this world, we have dragons, and so you have the Wests that have their religion kind of based on those dragons. They honor them, and you have the East that is totally against them and against sorcery and many stuff like that, and they think that that is heresy. And that's really interesting because they all think that they're right, and I personally like all of them, so I'm interested in that. And this book is actually really easy to read too, and the font in this edition is actually way bigger than I thought it would be, so that's also nice. Here is the book, and I have a beautiful bookmark right now, as you can see. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I'm a bit more than halfway into Priory, and I love it. It's great. It's got talking dragons, so obviously I'm going to like it. But besides that, I think Samantha Shannon is just really great at pacing as well as with characters. So she makes the best stories in my opinion. I have adored every single book by her so far, and it's just as good. I love it, and it reminds me a little bit of Game of Thrones. Well, more particularly the Song and Ice and so the Song and Ice and Fire series as I read the books, and it's got kind of the same vibe, though I think it's better than Game of Thrones simply because the pacing is a lot better. Um, in the books, in the Song and Ice and Fire series, there are a lot of things happening, but mostly it's pretty slow going, and then you have some parts that are more intense. Well, in this book, The Priory of the Orange Tree, nothing is boring. I'm just so into it. And yeah, I'm more than halfway into it. I spent the whole day yesterday reading it, and I'm probably going to do the same today. And I'm hoping to finish it today or tomorrow. I adore the characters, and I love that it's inspired by both Western and Asian cultures, as well as pretty much any culture, Arab culture, and just everything else. It's fascinating, and I cannot wait to see what's going on. So I did end up finishing The Priory of the Orange Tree the next day, and I thought it was really good, though the ending was a bit rushed compared to the rest of the book, I will say that. But besides that, I love these characters, and I know Samantha Shannon is planning on coming out with another book set in the same world, so I cannot wait for that. But now I'm going to start the Starless Sea, so I will update you once I do. I started the Starless Sea, and so far I am not a fan. In this book we follow multiple characters, including this guy who is in college and happens to be gay. But what's interesting about him is that he finds this book in the library of his college telling the story of multiple characters, including him, that we are reading. So that is really fascinating, and just like the main character, I really want to know why his story is in a book. Like, what's the story there? But the other parts of the story are very small pieces and bits about other characters, and those stories are set in the world of the Starless Sea, that is said to be a world that is kind of a parallel world to us, I guess. And you have a lot of doors on the earth to get there. But I'm not that interested in the Starless Sea, like, at all. I mostly like the bits about this main character, because the others, the bits are so short that I just don't know anything about them, really, and I'm just really confused so far. I have read about 60 pages or more, so I'm hoping it gets better, but so far, not a fan. I've read more than 100 pages now, and you know what? I do not care about this story at all. It's mostly plot driven, and I prefer character driven stories. And in here, the characters are just underdeveloped. It's not interesting at all to me. I don't care. I'm not enjoying this story, so we'll move on. Also, it's like trying really hard to be funny, which is something that you see a lot in YA, but this is supposed to be adult fantasy, and it doesn't feel like it. It's the kind of story that I would like to see in a movie or in a TV show, but not in a book. Like, there's not enough meat to the story for me, so yeah, just not my thing at all. I'm almost a third of the way into Gods of Jade and Shadow, and it's really good so far. We follow Cassiopeia Toon, I think that's how you pronounce her name, and I'm not sure how old she is actually. I think she's around 20 years old, and she lives in Mexico with her grandfather, her mother, and her cousin. And her grandfather and her cousin treat her basically as a servant, and her mother and her just cannot change this situation right now because they don't have enough money. And Cassiopeia has quite an attitude, but I like that. And the thing is, her grandfather has this chest that he keeps secret. No one knows what's inside. And one day she is not allowed to leave with her parents, well, with the family to this excursion, and so she stays home and she decides to open the chest just like that. And in it, she finds some bones, and these bones get together to form a man, and one part of a bone gets stuck in her hand, and the man that comes out of this tells her that he is the Lord of Death, and that she is giving him life by having a part of his bones into her. And now she has to help him to find his brother who imprisoned him. And if she doesn't do that, she's going to die. So she doesn't really have a choice. But she's happy because finally she can actually leave this city that she's been stuck into. She's always had dreams of leaving this city and becoming rich, or at least normal. And so yeah, we follow her with this man god we don't really know, and she's trying to make do, and it's quite nice. And I like this so far. It's got a lot of folklore from what I've seen. It's inspired by some myths in Mexico, so that's really interesting and not something that I've seen a lot. So that's nice. I'm 2/3 of the way through now, and I don't really have a lot to say, besides the fact that I really don't like Martin, Cassiopea's cousin. He's a bad guy, and we know that from the beginning, so that's not really a huge thing. Yeah, it's still really enjoyable. I'm not bored in the story at all, and this book is quite short, so I think I should be able to finish it sooner rather than later. I finished Gods of Jade and Shadow, and it was fine. I thought it was enjoyable, but I didn't think it was great. There was a bit of romance that I thought was mostly quite cliche, and I just didn't care about the main character that much because I feel like the author described the architecture and the places and what they ate, what they were wearing a lot, but she didn't care to talk about the characters that much, so I didn't necessarily care about them a lot. There's not a lot of character development really, so it's a bit circumstantial, I guess, is what I'm saying. It's very enjoyable and readable, but just not a great book in my opinion. Although I would be curious to read more by this author, so I might do that at some point. But yeah, those are my thoughts. And now to wrap this up. So, I read The Priory of the Orange Tree. I thought it was great. It had LGBTQ characters. It was just so interesting all throughout, and it was great, I just thought that the ending was a bit rushed. It actually made me think of a video that I had watched about writing that said that if you imagine the arc of a character as a line, you usually have small bumps during the story which represents some stuff that is happening, and then towards the end you have like a huge thing that happens, and then you end the book while things are going back to normal after that huge event. And she was kind of following that formula, and she ended really quick after the big event at the end. And I like my stories to have a bit more of the aftermath, I guess, and to see how all the characters end up, where they end up, who they end up with also, and just be able to see them being happy, actually. But yeah, besides that, it was just so great. It has dragons that can talk, and it's so much fun. But also, I don't know if I can really compare this book to the other ones just because it's so long, And just in itself, I think it's amazing to be able to write a 800-page book that is still really engaging to read and just good. So I'm in awe of Samantha Shannon really for having written this. But yeah, the other books that I read obviously were The Starless Sea. I mean, I didn't finish it obviously. I wasn't a fan at all, as you could see. And the last one, obviously, The Gods of Jane Shadow, I thought was fine, but not great. So my winner for the fantasy award would be given to The Priory of the Earth Tree, of course. It's worth all of the awards for me. I think it's amazing, and you should read it. That's the ending of the video, I guess. I will be, of course, posting the other videos for the other categories in the Booktube SFF Awards in the next few weeks. I'm almost done with the sci-fi and YA category, so this should be up soon. But yeah, that's all for me. Thank you for watching. Please tell me if you have read any of these books and if you are following the Booktube SFF Awards. Do you care who win? I do. I think if Samantha Shannon doesn't win, it's unfair. But I guess to each their own, of course. Some people obviously like the other books in this category. I just didn't think they were that great. So yeah. Thank you for watching again. I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Dream I know, deep up my feelings feel